Hi everyone, Dan Mizzi-Harris here, looking to talk to you all about our semantic action tokens. Now that we've been using them for a couple of weeks now, I've got some thoughts. Uh, there are a lot of them, and many of these only exist to build buttons. I found when trying to apply them that when to use one over the other isn't always clear. Some of this is avoidable. Actions are interactive, so we're expecting lots of things. Basically, every color to be a ×4. So for rest, hover, active, that kind of thing. But I still think we can reduce some of that. So I've got a proposal to think about to reduce this to a smaller set of design tokens that hone more in on this generic meanings rather than trying to recreate buttons completely, along with some rules about how to use them together. And I can't remember what this last point is, so hopefully we'll remember that as we go. Oh yes, I remember. So for buttons, when we actually want to create buttons, rather than try and have a semantic set that covers everything we need for buttons, use some contextual design tokens that are only for buttons. Cool. So let's have a quick look at what that is. So I think we can have a smaller set by focusing on four main elements: the background, the border, the text, and the icon, and having only one set for each of these. Previously, we had strong, subtle, and this default or in between. I think the strong and subtle only really serve to build buttons, so we can drop those and have this set. The border you'll see is alpha 0 everywhere, which in light mode I think is okay. That's actions that aren't buttons have no borders, which matches how I'm seeing them be used. But there is a border, even though it's transparent, so that it appears in high contrast mode and stuff like that. We've also got two new tokens for when an action is selected with a background and a foreground. Our disable buttons stay, our disabled design tokens stay as they were, and then repeated for confirm and danger. So dropping the idea of trying to capture subtle and strong, there's just one set of action. In this case, confirm for the background, the border, the text, and the icon. Same for danger. So yeah, this is a big reduction from, we've managed to drop 40, if my maths is right, design tokens, and now consumers only have to decide, is my thing neutral, confirm, danger, or disabled. We'd also have clear rules that all of these have to be used together. So if you want to create a custom action that isn't using GL button, it needs to have the background, the border, and the text or icon color, or both. So let's see how this could be applied to some components and some stuff in the product that doesn't use GL button. So here's a proposal that Jeremy put together for a refresh of pagination, which ties in quite nicely to this. The A neutral action has no visible background at rest. We've got a text color. When it hovers, the background color changes. The border doesn't change, but all of these would have a border so that in high contrast mode, they'd be visible, but for in normal circumstances or for sighted users using the non-high contrast mode, they would not be visible. And I think this works quite well. We've also got this selected background and foreground to mark it as separate from the others. We also had a look at date picker. This is one that I had some trouble with trying to use the existing set. These things are clickable. They open a drop down of sorts. So again, we use the background, the text, and the border. together with this appearance on hover, the background darkens. Also useful for these little next month, previous month buttons. It doesn't make sense to use GL button here because this comes from a library. So using the icon, the background, and the border together gets this kind of result for rest and hover. Date picker as well has some fun stuff. This action at the top in the header isn't a GL button, but we can use our more generic design tokens. I think matches up. Same for our states, the generic stuff we can use here without anything special and without being bound by the existing button styles. So have a look, let me know what you think, any feedback. If we wanted to take this even further, perhaps we could drop confirm and danger if we think they're not useful. I did find a use for danger here, but that might not be the case for everything. So let me know. I think we are at a point where we can still make this change, but we don't have too much longer before bringing some of these design tokens that were once public into private. Hope you can follow along with my chaos, and let's talk.